Hello and welcome back. So today we're going to go over the Data Draft League draft results. So this is a league comprised of Patreon members in the Discord group. We all got together. We had a Data Draft League last year. It was relatively successful. We only had 2 players that were not in it by the end of the season, so we did have a little bit of dead weight at the end. We've expanded it this year to 14 teams, and we'll go over what the point weighting is. We'll look at the first round, the second round, and then each player's team, and I'll try to kind of give a grade, not necessarily an actual grade, just look at their teams and kind of go over some thoughts as it pertains to the draft. This was a very interesting draft, so let's get right into it. So the first round and the second round is over on the left, but on the right is the point weighting. So 3 points for a goal, 2 for an assist, power play and shorthanded points are 1, game-winning goals are 1, shots on goal half, hits half, and blocks are 0.25, goaltending 3, -1, -1, 0.25 for saves, and 2 for shutouts. So right off the bat, what I was trying to accomplish in the Creator League video was using the custom ratings dashboard and excluding players as they were drafted. I was able to do this successfully while I was offline and not live streaming it. So it worked much better when I was not live streaming. I was able to maintain this pretty much till the end of the draft, and I basically just used the list. I went off list a couple times, but for the most part, just looking at the next player on the list. But here's what happened in the first round of this league. McDavid, Draisaitl. First little wrinkle is Brady Tkachuk at 3, but given this league format with the shots and the hits and everything else that's weighted, he's really complete, and he was very highly rated on the custom ratings dashboard. Matthews goes 4, McKinnon goes 5. That's right on script. Tkachuk goes 6th. I'm in the 7 hole, and I end up getting David Pastrnak, who I had in a different league last year. Last year was an amazing year for David Pastrnak, and I got him at the turn of the snake in around the 23 or 24 range, which was insane, just where I got him last year. But getting him at 7 this year, I feel a little bit less happy about it compared to where I got him last year, but I do think he's the best available right winger, and right wingers are very scarce. So this is something that I've noticed in the other draft and this draft. Right wingers are very scarce. You have to map out your whole strategy based on your right wingers and your D. So that seems to be a theme as we go along. Rantanen, speaking of right wingers, goes at 8, Kucherov at 9, Jack Hughes at 10, Robertson falls to 11, Kaprizov at 12, Tage Thompson at 13, Cale Makar at 14. Makar and Thompson are pretty much locked in this range, 11 to 14. They're going there seemingly, at least in both of the drafts that I've done this weekend. Then you got Pettersson in the beginning of round 2, so this person gets Makar and Pettersson. Ovechkin goes second in round 2, Dahlin, Yossi, so the D run starting to go with Makar, Dahlin, and Yossi there. Marner goes another right winger at 5. Timo Meier, a dual eligible guy, usually going in the 30 range, actually gets picked up in the second round here. JT Miller, another guy going in the 30 range, but because of that dual position eligibility. So all 3 of these guys, Meyer, Miller, Stützle, all dual position. So they got bumped up because of that, and I ended up picking up Tim Stützle. So I started off with Pastrnak and Stützle, and we'll get into what these teams look like in just a little bit. Then Zibanejad, Crosby, Nylander, Seider. That's a little bit early for Seider, for sure. There's a couple of D already picked, so maybe he really wanted Seider this year and saw the D run going and figured that he had to pick one because he wasn't picking for a couple picks after this. This is a 14-team league, so he might be waiting on that for a little bit. Then Stamkos goes here, and at the back end of the second round is where we get our first goaltender. So the person who gets McDavid also gets arguably the best fantasy goaltender. You could make a case for Shesterkin or Ottinger or a number of other guys, but Sorokin is an elite goaltender in fantasy. So let's take a look at his team. Darrin, Dolphins, the guy with the first overall pick. He went McDavid, picked up Sorokin, then he goes with his defenseman in Hamilton, so he's got his upper echelon guy who's going to carry his team. He's got his number 1 D. He's got 2 elite goaltenders, a little bit early for that second goaltender in my opinion. Kempe, really good option, dual eligible winger there. Gets Toffoli here, another right winger, so solidifying those very scarce positions. Then comes back with Trouba on D, Justin Falk, another D, Dubois, Cousins, Stone, Lehkonen. I like the Lehkonen pick. I had him queued up, and he was going to... I just didn't know where to draft Lehkonen. He was on my radar. I had him queued up, just didn't know where to pull the trigger on him. And as we look at his team breakdown on the right, the centers are pretty good. Obviously, McDavid is insane, and look at how much better he is than every other player on this team just because of the fact that it's McDavid. You have Cousins as a center. You have Dubois, who can play center, and Kempe also. Same with Braden Shen. So you got a number of centers, a lot of positional flexibility. The D is a little bit light. Hamilton is a very good number 1. Trouba is really good in this format for hits and blocks. You can see over here, shots, hits, and blocks. He racks those up. Just not getting a ton of power play time. OEL is a first half of the season play, I would imagine. Spurgeon. I made that call in the Creators League, just drafting Spurgeon, hoping he would get power play 1 in Minnesota. Then Mark Stone, a nice high risk, high upside play there. And obviously the goaltending is going to be really good with Sorokin, and Georgiev comes back with Johansson just for the sake of Vasilevsky being out. So really solid team. Anytime you have McDavid, you're going to have a really competitive team. I do think the D is a little bit light, but not crazy. And there is some decent positional flexibility here, and he definitely nabbed those right wingers with Kempe and Toffoli. So I'm not going to give necessarily a number grade just because I'm playing against these people all season long, but a little bit light on the D. The forwards got some good depth there. Goaltending should be extremely solid. Up next, we have Zay. Mello Nello. He ends up with the number 2 pick, picks Draisaitl, comes back with Stamkos. So some nice positional flexibility there. Stacks Tampa with Braden Point. At the 3rd pick, Kyle Connor, I had him queued up. I also had Saros queued up. And I just didn't want to pull the trigger on Saros where I had him. So an excellent goaltender, really good left wingers in Stamkos and Connor, goal-scoring left wingers, goal-scoring centers. He's basically cornering the market in goal-scoring here, but mainly on the left side. Then he comes back with Pavelski and Batherson, 2 right wingers in the middle of the draft. Verhaeghe, really nice goal-scoring depth piece. So we had a theme for this whole draft, getting those goal scorers, shot volume guys, and that is definitely something that I mentioned in the strategy video that will definitely help you out. Going with Montour, Gudis, Forsling, and Gostisbehere. The D is very light here. Gudis is a really good defenseman in this format for hits and blocks. Montour is going to be out for a while, but when he comes back, he should be pretty good. Forsling is obviously the short-term play for Montour, so he's going to have to add another defenseman. He adds Sandin down here. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Gostisbehere is like a 1A, 1B power play quarterback, so a little bit light on the D, but definitely makes up for it in terms of forwards. Then with the goaltending, Saros is going to get him a ton of starts, and Ville Husso is not a bad option there either. Sneaky little play with Jakub Vrana here. I don't know where he get him. 195, that's not bad at all. So this is the area where you would take risks, and he did that. Picks up Victor Arvidsson here at 170. That's a nice pick there. So this should be another team. Very good offense, weak defense-ish. Doesn't have the same number 1 that the previous team did. So a little bit weaker defense, but the goaltending should definitely hold up as well. C. Krak A Lak, picking at 3rd. Brady Tkachuk going off board there. Seider going off board there. Picking a goalie at 31, kind of going off board there because we were pushing goaltenders back a little bit. DeBrincat, really nice pick up there at 54, dual eligible, guy who's hit 40 goals in the past. Picks up Bedard at 59, and we'll have to wait and see how that pans out, but in preseason, he's looking pretty electric right now. Sebastian Aho, so pretty good centers right at the top. Tkachuk, DeBrincat, Necas, and Marchessault going for the deeper plays in terms of right wingers, but some safer picks. So Marchessault is a very good shot volume guy, 234 shots last year. Necas, same thing, 240. They both are, I guess these are projections. But yeah, both shot volume guys, close to 30 goal scorers, not upper echelon right wingers, so that's going to be a little bit of a positional weakness. Seider as the first D, I'm not crazy about, but I definitely see the peripheral floor and the power play quarterback opportunity. Nurse is a good hits and blocks guy as well. Theodore is a sharing power play quarterback duties kind of defenseman, and Larson is a hits and blocks D. So no elite offensive defenseman again, so the D is a little bit light, but definitely favoring the hits and blocks Ds, which is a strategy. So he went into this with a strategy and seemed to pull it off there. Faravari, another hits guy, 217 hits there, 128 blocks. Shesterkin is definitely going to carry the mail for this team. Bobrovsky, you know how I feel about him. He's not very good, but you might as well, where he got him. I believe he got him at 138. There was a number of goaltenders still available there. So not a terrible pick. The Hurricanes, number 4. Matthews, really good spot to draft him there. Nylander, right winger, filling that positional need. Coming back with John Carlson, that elite defenseman. Then coming in with Ullmark. That's the question mark I have here, is the goaltending. Ullmark and Levi are not good enough, in my opinion. Ullmark's not going to get the starts that he did last year. First off, last year he only started in, I think, 46 or 48 games. So the year he won the Vezina, he didn't start in 50-plus games like we like in a starter. And Levi is an unproven rookie who we don't even know if he has the starting job. He might, but he might not. So the goaltending is going to be the weakness here. The right wingers are good. Nylander, Barzal. Defense is really good. Carlson, Shabbat, Matheson, Petrie, good for hits and blocks. Matheson is an underrated power play quarterback who also gets a little bit of peripheral coverage. Shabbat is also on that power play with Chikrin, so this could be a nice little, D2, D3 play. Going with some older names, Oshie, Anders Lee, Duchesne, to fill out the roster. Brad Marchand, where he drafted him in the 5th round, is a little bit early. He's going a little bit later in some other drafts that I'm in. Eichel at 81 is great value. Same with Gensel at 88. That's another great value play. Sam Bennett in the 11th round is really nice as well. I had Barzal queued up for a while. I chose to go with Bo Horvat instead, mainly for the goals and the shots. Barzal is very assist heavy on the power play. I was thinking about it from the dual position standpoint, but it's hard to justify the difference in goals and shots with just the positional flexibility there. Overall, really good team. Just the goaltending is going to be the question mark here. The offense is going to be good. The defense is going to boost that offense. But is it going to be enough? We'll have to wait and see. Good cop Babcock. He's picking number 5. Changed his team name after the draft, so it starts as now Yossi. Now Josimi. Now you don't. And he didn't end up getting Roman Yossi, so that's probably why he changed the name. McKinnon, Crosby, excellent centers. But I don't know if I would go 2 centers in a row with your first 2 picks. Other than that, Heiskanen, really good first defenseman. Boldy, nice pickup there. Goudreau, nice value pickup. Vince Dunn, another power play quarterback. Reaching a little bit on Huberdeau, but I like that pickup. He's going to be a nice bounce back candidate. Freddie Anderson, I had him queued up. I had Line queued up. So he's sniping a couple of guys from me. Hampus Lindholm, he could be the power play quarterback in Boston. You don't know at this point. I don't think McAvoy has solidified that yet. So this could be a nice D3 option. And then Bowen Byram as a nice D4 rounds out the D core. It should be a pretty good defensive core for this team. Dawson Mercer, Nick Schmaltz, Barbashev, some depth players here. Nothing crazy. But I see the thought process there. The goaltending is the only thing. Anderson is definitely a really good pickup. Kochetkov is a really great third goaltender. Somebody else, I believe, picked up Ranta, which is why he couldn't get the stack with Anderson and Ranta. If he had that, that would be really nice goaltending because you have a really great team in front of them. But I don't know. Freddie Anderson had a .903 save percentage last year, if I'm remembering correctly. So I don't know if that's going to get it done. We'll have to wait and see on that as well. But I do like the defense on this team a lot better. And the upper end talent. McKinnon obviously is a great player. And then you've got some really good wingers as well. Evander Kane's bookie. This is Tyler, who we were talking about, loves to trade, so this will not look like this for very long. Matthew Tkachuk, nice dual eligible guy at the number 6 spot, comes back with Zibanejad. And then Ottinger in the 3rd round, really solid goaltender. He's got really good goaltending here. Ottinger, Markstrom, and Copley. So should be pretty set when it comes to goaltending. I like this Matty Beniers pick at 191. I went with Logan Cooley before that. In retrospect, I might go Beniers if I had it to do over again. But still, really excellent pickup here in 191. I mean, that's really incredible for a guy who should be around a point per game. Then if you look a little bit further up, Brent Burns, really good number 1 defenseman, quarterback in the power play, stacks it with D'Angelo just in case. So I don't know if I love that just because of the fact that if if D'Angelo's not quarterbacking the power play, he's not that useful. But then you come back with Devon Taves and Sean Dursey, who is probably going to quarterback that power play. So the defense is strong. It's not crazy, but it's not underwhelming either. Right about in the middle spot there. Burns should drive a lot of shot volume as well. Zuccarello, decent pickup on the right side. Seth Jarvis is a little bit underwhelming. picking him up at 174. So the right wingers are a little bit weaker, but the left wingers are extremely strong. Kachuk, Forsberg, and then he's got really good centers as well as Zibanejad and Larkin. So the offense, the left wing and the centers are going to carry this team. Zuccarello is going to carry assists a little bit and some power play production. But this team has some good defense, has a couple of players, Wyatt Johnston, Matty Beniers, younger players. Beauvillier is a nice high-risk play there, and the goaltending is excellent. Then we get to my team. So here, I like a lot of what I did, but there were a couple of times where I found myself panicked and making a choice that I didn't necessarily love, but at the same time, I do like this team a lot better than I do the Creators League team that I drafted yesterday. So starting off with positional awareness here, David Pastrnak, right winger. He was the best available at that point in the draft, and I need to solidify that right winger spot after what happened in the Creators League draft. Then I come back with Stützle, very complete player, 1.1 plus point per game, dual eligible, so I like the flexibility there. And then I come back with Evan Bouchard at 35. The reason why I went with Bouchard is because I was just using the list, and I figured everybody else was using the list too from the custom ratings dashboard. So I go off the list with Bouchard, who's way further down, and kind of throw a wrench in everything. And I do think Bouchard could be around a point per game player this year if he's quarterbacking that power play for the entire season, which looks like it's going to be the case. So very high upside play. This is the risk that's going to either make or break my season, I think, because if this backfires, then I just don't have the D to back up the rest of the team. So I started with Bouchard. I come back with Chychrun, who's going to get me shot volume, some blocks, a couple of hits, and hopefully some power play production, but there is an injury risk there with Chychrun. Pietrangelo is a nice pickup where I got him at 106. He's a power play quarterback as well in Vegas, and I do think that he goes a little bit under the radar. Everybody in Vegas blocks shots. He also hits a little bit, gets a couple of shots, not enough shots to make him a shot volume guy, but this is probably the best available. He was the best available defenseman at that point. And then Hronek I picked up extremely late at 218, and I think he's really good value there. So I don't know if I love the decor as a whole, but I do think Bouchard is going to act like one of those top 5 defensemen in the NHL in terms of points, in terms of power play points, hopefully goals, shot volume, things that matter offensively in this league format. So that's why I went with that. In terms of the other players I have, so Evander Kane, this is a league that has 0.5 per hit and 0.25 for blocks. So the hits, the shots, those are all a little bit more valuable. So Tom Wilson was valuable in this league. Evander Kane was extremely valuable. And if he can stay healthy, and if he's playing with any of those guys in the top 6 in Edmonton, that's going to be a really nice recipe there. Nick Ehlers was the one that I kind of panicked on. I had somebody else queued up. I didn't know where to go with it. I just seemingly believe in Nick Ehlers. I don't know why. He's about a point per game, a little bit under a point per game player, but he has been a 4-shot per game guy at various points throughout his career. He just hasn't been healthy lately, so people forget about him. And then my right wingers are extremely strong. So Pastrnak and Konechny. Konechny is a very underrated player. He's an 80 on the completeness ratings, and he's covering some hits, covering some blocks, and getting a bunch of shots, power play points, goal scoring, etc. So my right wingers are very strong. My left wingers should be strong. Boone Jenner is a very complete center. I don't know if he's the best center that you're going to find out there. Bo Horvat I come back with for some goal scoring and shot volume, and I got him really late at 162. And then just throwing a shot at the dartboard with Logan Cooley. If he ends up making an impact for Arizona, that's going to be a really nice pick. If not, I drop him to the waiver wire and pick somebody else up who's hot. And then I also stashed Patrick Kane because look where I got him at 203. A former first or second round player now going in the 15th round. So that's the value that we're looking for in that range, so might as well. On to Habsurd Hooligans. So this is pick number 8, Rantanen on the right wing, Miller center right wing, and Svetch. So really good coverage there. Dual position eligibility with 2 of the 3 guys and a lot of right wingers in that range as well. It also ends up with Tom Wilson. So the wingers are stacked. So Svetch, Keller, Rantanen, Wilson, JT Miller, Elias Lindholm. I really like that forward group. I like Letang. I like Jones. Klingberg is I guess you know what you're going to get. Power play assists if he's the power play guy in Toronto. Keandre Miller is a nice player. He's kind of coming into his own. I just don't know how I feel about him in fantasy. I like the Fiala pick as well. Troy Terry, where he got him at 161, is a good pick as well. It's just going to come down to goaltending. Tristan Jarry didn't stay healthy last year, but he is a really good goaltender. Vejmelka is going to get shelled. I don't know if he's going to be a good goaltender in this format, but Ranta is pretty consistent and stable there. And then he comes back with Hall and Lafreniere. So I would never draft this kid, Lafreniere. I'm a Rangers fan, and he's just not worth it. So this is the only pick that I have a problem with, and he was the last pick, so why not take a high-risk, high-reward pick there at 232. Up next, we have Bogambo at number 9. Nikita Kucherov, an elite right winger. That's a nice positional play there. It comes back with Timo Meier dual eligible. Quinn Hughes, that's a little bit early, and McAvoy, that's really early. Nico Hischier is not a bad pick there. I like Gustafsson in general. Kreider I like as well. Swayman I like, but these are your only 2 goaltenders, and they're both in timeshares. So that's the only question mark about those 2 guys. They're both excellent goaltenders. You're going to get good stats, good save percentage, things like that. But are you going to get enough starts? And, if one of them loses the net, is that going to affect your team? Other than that, right wingers look pretty good. Perron's a nice depth play. I had him queued up. He's at 149 there. Jamie Benn is falling in a lot of drafts. I don't know what to make of him because last year was kind of a bounce back year. Could he drop off this year? Could he keep it up? Who knows? Getting Nick Suzuki, that's not a bad play at all. He played all 82 games last year, was relatively productive, and they're going to be healthier in Montreal this year. Josh Anderson, same narrative in terms of Montreal. I think the offense has elite level wingers, pretty good centers, Hischier and Scheifele. The D is okay. Everything is just sort of, I don't want to say underwhelming because you do have Kucherov, you do have Meier, you have some guys that can carry the team, and there's no weak links on this team. So that's a completely different strategy where you're looking at not high upside, but just not having any weak links on your team, no low guys that are going to bring you down. But this is, a situation where you could, if you have weak links, you could drop them, pick up a waiver wire guy. So I don't know if this is the best strategy, but it is a pretty complete team. Party Never Dies at number 10, starts with Jack Hughes, comes back with Marner on the right side, Fox and Morrissey in the 3 and 4 round range. Skinner, Giroux, Logan Thompson reached on Thompson, but he did so and got the Vegas tandem. So he didn't do this in terms of being at the back end of the snake. He's got Thompson in the 7th round, picks up Hill in the 9th round, and snipes Cole Caulfield in between, which is a nice pickup there in the 8th. Morgan Riley, a nice little pickup there in the 10th round in case he ends up as the power play quarterback. This defense is looking really good because you got a power play assist heavy guy in Fox who also gets shot blocks. Similar type of thing in Morrissey. Their stats are pretty similar, but Morrissey has a couple more goals. And then you have Morgan Riley, who's going to get you hopefully some assists, power play time a little bit, and then not a huge hitter, but getting close to a hit per game is not bad at all. And then he comes back with the big hitter in Luke Shen. So a really nice value play there with Shen. Kadri, I like that upside play. Kuzmenko at 159, I really like that as well. Stashing Pacioretty, that's a really nice move. Connor Brown, taking those swings later on in the draft is what we like to see. So this has the potential to be a really good team if a lot of these guys come back and are, healthy. Burakovsky, Pacioretty, if they come back and they're impact players, that could be really nice. And this Zaka play at 178, I don't mind it because you're getting access to you're getting access to Pastrnak at what is that? 178. So really good value there. And if he's the number 1 center, that's definitely going to come in handy. And if not, he's got Jack Hughes and Claude Giroux as his centers and Nazem Kadri. So some nice insulation there. Really good team overall. And I like the Vegas stack for the tandem. That's going to be a very difficult team to deal with. You can see guys like Hughes, guys like Marner, Giroux. They're all putting up a ton of points. So this could be a really complete team. It's just a high risk, high reward team with some of these guys that are drafted later on, like Pacioretty, Burakovsky. Kuzmenko is a nice pickup there where he was. So really good job, and this is going to be a difficult team to play against. Connor Brown is another risk here. You obviously know the upside playing with McDavid, but if it doesn't work out, if he loses that line assignment, it could backfire. Up next, Nathaniel's team at number 11, Robertson, Yossi, Hedman, Sergachev. So he's locked up his D, 3D in the first 4 picks. So his D is going to be a strength of his team. I don't necessarily love stacking both of these guys, but you are getting peripherals out of Sergachev if he's not the power play quarterback. So this is maybe an interesting strategy to think about for yourself if you're watching this video, because if you want one, why not get the other? This is a little bit early, because what ends up happening is the right wingers are very light. So Tanner Jeannot's a hits guy. Nino Niederreiter is a hits guy as well, but not as much. Hits, a little bit more shots, and a little bit more goal scoring potential for Niederreiter. Then you've got Nichushkin here, who could play right winger, who is a nice pickup where he got him. I had him queued up as well. Lawson Krause is a sneaky play down here at 214. The goaltending, the Devils tandem, I like that. He picked Schmid. I had Schmid queued up. But this is a nice tandem in New Jersey, and then getting one of the 2 guys in LA should hold up. These are all really good defensive teams that should insulate their goaltending really well. Zegras, Hintz, Reinhart, and Eriksson Ek. So pretty good centers. I don't know what's happening with Zegras' contract situation, so you might have to wait on that. But Eriksson Ek is extremely complete. I had him queued up for a little while there in the draft. Rope Hintz, really good player, picked in the 5th round, is probably right where he should go. Sam Reinhart, a nice pickup there as well, but a little bit light on the wings. So the wingers are not going to drive production here. They might be a little bit light on offense because of that. Robertson's going to carry things on the left side. Nichushkin could definitely carry some things depending on where he's playing, but you're missing kind of 1 or 2 elite level wingers because you drafted 3D in the top 4 rounds, which is probably the only mistake I see here. That's a glaring mistake. Above average at number 12, Kaprizov, Dahlin, Tavares, Nugent Hopkins, and then takes a little swing at Vasilevsky at 68. He probably could have pushed that a little bit, but now the goaltending is Vasilevsky, Skinner, and Knight. So a lot of high risk there. So right now it's Skinner and Knight right off the bat. So basically one goaltender who's a starter to start the season. That's going to be very risky for the beginning part of the season. Lucas Raymond's a nice little depth piece here at 185. Tarasenko's a nice option there. Bratt, I like that pick. Kaprizov's going to carry things on the left side. The D looks really good. Dahlin, Werenski, Doughty, Ekholm. Trocheck's a nice little value center here. So the offense should be good. The wingers are just a tad light, but the defense is really strong. Should make up for that. Bertuzzi, a nice little pickup there. Fantilli and Power going with the rookies towards the end of the draft. And Spencer Knight was the last pick, so it's not really crucial that he ends up playing. So he could end up stashing Vasilevsky and picking up a goalie off the waiver wire. So that could actually work out. So ultimately, I like the decor on this team a lot better than most. The offense is not bad either. I just think that the offense needs a little bit more of a boost. But I could be wrong about that because Tavares is a very good player. Nugent Hopkins getting access to Edmonton, Kaprizov, and then Bratt. A lot of talent up there, but just a little bit light on the right wing spot. 13, Star Wars, the Noot Wars. So starts off with Tage Thompson, comes back with Ovechkin and Hyman. So really solidifying the left winger and the right winger that he needs. Comes back with Raquel on right wing. Really good shot volume guy, goal scorer. Could put up 40, especially with some additional help in Erik Karlsson. Speaking of Karlsson, you're looking at the D, Karlsson, Dobson, Krug, and an empty spot where Hanifin or Ekblad could fit in. And I would imagine that Ekblad, when he comes back, would be that guy, but Hanifin will fit in there for now. So not bad at all. I just don't know who's going to quarterback the power play in St. Louis. It might be Falk. It could be Krug. Krug was asking for a trade in the offseason. We'll have to wait and see on that. Panarin in the 5th round is a huge, huge value play. Getting a guy who's well over a point per game player in the 5th round is money in the bank. Malkin at 125 is another value play. So Thompson and Malkin are good centers. Really good left wingers here. I like Raquel. I'm not crazy about DeBrusque, but the dual position eligibility helps him there, and he didn't spend a high pick on him at 153. And then the goaltending, Samsonov and Wall. So going with the Toronto tandem and then Grubauer. I understand the thought process. They are a good defensive team. So this could absolutely work out. It just depends on a couple of factors. And the defense, the bottom half of the D, Karlsson, if Carlson goes down with injury, that's going to really be a problem for this team. If that doesn't happen, then they should definitely be able to compete in this league. It's just going to come down to what ends up happening this year, because Dobson has been that power play quarterback for a couple years now. Can he take that next step? Can the Islanders produce any offense whatsoever? Eberle's an okay pickup here. He's basically a waiver guy. Same with Hayton and Hanifin. So a couple waiver guys there. Nothing crazy, but I do like this team. It's pretty strong considering where he drafted at 13. And last but not least, Taxicab Kanefessions. Cale Makar at the first pick at number 14, but then comes back with Pedersen. So those picks are basically interchangeable. And then hitting Connor Hellebuyck, so ending up with an elite defenseman, an elite center, and an elite goaltender with the first 3 picks is nice strategy there. Coming back with Barkov at 43, that is good value for Barkov. So Pedersen and Barkov are the centers. Buchnevich and McCann are the left wingers. I really like both of those guys. Tuck and Kyrou. I like Tuck at the very least. Kyrou should be much better, and he is dual eligible, so that should be a really nice play. So really good offense so far. Makar, Anderson, Uyghur, and Hughes. The D could be a little bit better because one of these 2 guys is going to quarterback the power play in Calgary. The other isn't. And Uyghur has the better peripherals. So it's just a matter of which one gets the assignment. It has been Anderson historically. They can give it to Uyghur. Uyghur did this a little bit in Florida. So, and then a high risk, high reward play with Luke Hughes. He sniped Josh Norris from me. Actually, I just passed on Josh Norris. I forgot about him. And then he snipes him there. So I really like that Norris pick. Killorn, I believe, just broke his hand, so that's not great. Lucas Reichel is a nice high upside play with the last overall pick. And the goaltending, Hellebuyck should do enough for you. And then Fleury coming back, well, he was dropping throughout this draft and a number of drafts. At 182, he should be value there. Just hasn't been the same player that he has been in years past. But that's going to do it for the breakdowns of these teams. That's going to do it for this video as well. Let me know what you think of these teams and my team in the comments section below. And as always, I will see you in the next one.